3 teaching tips that's going to help you teach authentic mental health that is truly impacting students' lives and equipping them with the knowledge, the skills, and the confidence that they need to navigate their mental health and to practice that skill of self-management. Hey health friends, Janelle here, founder of Practice School Wellness and your guide related to all things comprehensive skills-based health. And because SEL is essentially just health, I'm also here as your SEL guide. So in this video, we are going to talk about mental health, and I'm going to share 3 specific teaching tips that I have for you so that you can make this a truly effective learning experience for your students. Now, I don't think I need to dive into the why of why mental health is so important, but we know it's important, right? We know it's vitally important. We know it's one of those priority, top, #1 subjects, concepts, themes that we need to be addressing with our students because it is so deeply impacting their life, and they deserve to have this enriching education on or in relation to mental health. So let's dive into this. Let's look at how can we effectively teach mental health. Now, the first thing I want to share is kind of a bonus tip, and it's something that I think actually relates to any health topic, but specifically when we talk about mental health, I see this happen all the time, and I know I am so guilty of this as well. And that is that we overcomplicate it. We try to do too much. We know it's so vitally important to students, so we go all in. And in going all in, we do too much and make it too complex. Like, right? I see teachers doing these elaborate projects that are really fun and engaging, but they're not actually that impactful, and they're not actually equipping students with the skills that they need to go and manage their mental health immediately in their everyday life. Or I see just too much information or too many different tools and resources, all of it. It's just too much. And so really before I get to those 3 things, the first piece of advice I have, and this is something I am practicing every day as a health education or as a health curriculum designer and a teacher, and even practicing and managing my own well-being. And that is to just simplify. And basically what I'm saying that as health teachers, we can be so much more impactful. So if we just focus on a few simple and concise and easy student learning objectives. And basically that's what I want to look at today. There's 3 things that I think if we focus on these 3 things within our health education units, we really can equip students with that knowledge, confidence, and skills so that they can go and actually be able to navigate their own well-being in a very genuine and empowering way. So let's look at what are these 3 things. What are the 3 learning objectives that I advocate for in teaching mental health? So the first thing is just a piece of functional knowledge, and it's that students need to understand the difference between mental health and mental health disorders. It may seem like we're talking about the same thing, but they're actually 2 completely different concepts, and it's vitally important that students understand the difference between those 2 things. And that difference really lays the foundation for teaching an empowering and effective mental health unit. Now, in this video, I'm not going to dive into all that difference. You can click the link here, and I have another video that goes into what the difference is between these 2 concepts and why it's so important that students understand the difference. So the second learning objective that we want to prioritize for students is the mental health bucket. Now, the mental health bucket is this incredible tool, and this is something that is going to give students a deeper understanding of what mental health is, and it's also going to give them a way to build self-awareness and to manage and just understand what's actually going on with their mental health. And it's going to give them incredibly concise and specific language to communicate what's going on with their mental health. So this, if there's only one thing that we focus on in teaching mental health, to me, it is the mental health bucket is a total game changer. So real quick, I'm going to do an overview of it. I'll put it up here on the screen, but I also have a video that dives deeper into it that you can check that out. So let's look at it. The mental health bucket is this visual representation of our mental well-being. And there's a couple of things going on here. So the bucket itself is our mental health, and the water levels within our bucket is how we would rate ourselves in terms of where our level of mental health is. With low water is like chill at the beach with absolutely no responsibility. Filled to the brim, overflowing is so much going on, doesn't have a handle on anything, overwhelmed, panicky, anxious, all of those other things, and just no real ability to manage all of the demands in our life. So that's what the main bucket is. So the faucets represent all of the things that are adding to the demands and our responsibilities and adding stress into our life, thus filling up our buckets. So for me as an adult, those things could be, okay, budgeting, could be training for a marathon, running a business, designing curriculum, all of the household responsibilities, all of those different things are adding to my mental health bucket. And some of them are a drizzle, some of them are full on like fire hydrant pressure water filling up my mental health bucket. Then we have the drains and the hose. And those are the things that we do to lower the levels of our mental health bucket. The drains being things we do that sustainably lower, and the hoses being things that temporarily lower, but then ultimately refill more water, raising our mental health bucket. So this tool is a total game changer. It is incredible. It is so empowering because what we can do now with students, instead of saying like, hey, just a general rate your mental health, we say, hey, go fill out your mental health bucket. And that gives them a very clear and concise way to identify what's going on. And we even, once they've used it enough and they've built the competency of using it, you don't even have to have them actually look at it. You can just have them think about it. Just say, hey, tell me what faucets are, putting water in, or where's your water level right now in your mental bucket? Or tell me something you've done, today or you're planning to do today to lower the levels of your mental health bucket. So that right there is just so incredibly empowering to students. And I definitely recommend teaching that and prioritizing teaching the mental health bucket with your students. So the third learning objective is all about helping students just know deep in their soul that it is okay to not be okay. And this is so important because there's still so much stigma and shame around mental health and mental health disorders. And the more we can normalize that it is okay to not be okay, the more that we create space for students to authentically evaluate and build self-awareness, to have that confidence and security to seek help, to share what's going on in their life, to be open and honest, and to put in the work that they need to do so that they can manage their mental health or manage their mental health disorders. Now, in thinking about this idea of it being okay to not be okay, you also can have conversations connected to mental health and conversations about mental health disorders. So if we're looking at general mental health, we can use that mental health bucket to help students look at what does it look like when you're not okay? Does it look like you have all of these faucets that are just, dumping water in? Does it look like you don't have the energy or the capacity or the support to be able to, cope with those and lower your water levels? Is it just that your water levels are overflowing? What does it look like? So we can talk about it, like the idea of it being okay to not be okay in connection to general mental health. We can also talk about it in terms of mental health disorders. And we can do this by presenting mental health disorders to students, by sharing expansive examples and definitions of what it might look like, because it's really important to note that mental health disorders isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. Some people are going to experience depression and they're going to be very sad and they're going to have these big emotions. Other people are going to experience depression and it's not that they're going to be sad, but it's going to be that they physically feel depressed, like that they have no energy and that their body is like just pushing in on itself because the energy is so low and they're exhausted. You're going to have people who have anxious thoughts about certain things and intrusive thoughts about certain things, and other people who have anxiety that don't have those same thoughts and they spiral around something else. So the idea here is we want to just share expansive definitions so students don't have to have all the answers. They don't have to diagnose themselves. We don't want them to diagnose themselves because that's not their expertise, and TikTok's not the expertise that's going to help them diagnose themselves. Rather, we want them to be able to identify, hey, something doesn't feel right. Like I don't feel like I'm managing and I'm coping. And I think it's bigger than just a mental health issue, a general mental health issue that's more of a temporary or a smaller thing that I can figure out how to manage on my own. I think it's bigger. And if we can help them be able to do that self-evaluation and the reflection, then they have the confidence and the language that they can go and then talk to a medical professional who can help them navigate this, that can help them navigate a mental health disorder in a way that it's going to help them manage their own health. All right, so just to recap, the 3 learning objectives that I recommend prioritizing when teaching mental health. One is mental health versus mental health disorders, making sure students understand that. The second one is the mental health bucket. And then the third thing is to just help students recognize that it is okay to not be okay and to give them space to explore that in terms of general mental health and mental health disorders. So if this is an approach that is interesting to you or you feel like it is beneficial for your students, please drop a comment. Let me know what you're thinking, or if you have other ideas, drop a comment. Also, if this speaks to you and you're looking for an all-inclusive mental health unit, check out Project School Wellness curriculum. We have a mental health unit that follows these same priorities and really just works to equip your students with the knowledge, confidence, and skills so that they can navigate their mental health in a way that is enriching and empowering and liberating to their lives. All right, teachers, thanks for tuning in to the end. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and hit subscribe, share it with another teacher friend, and be sure to join me in the next video as we dive into more health education concepts so that you can continue your mission of saving kids' lives through health education.